Huge buffs coming for DPS and healers in Legion Remix. OP players got rolled back. Oh no. And Midnight Alpha updates. So a lot of rollbacks happening. I'm surprised Blizzard's doing this, and then at the same time not surprised. So I thought players who kind of, you know, played a little bit on the edge, maybe, farmed a little bit extra more than they should have been able to, and right now they're very far ahead in Legion Remix. Well, Blizzard came down on them and retroactively pulled back a lot of the shit they did. So a lot of changes here coming in Legion Remix. We talked about the healer buffs and DPS buffs, pretty damn good. Let's see here what Kalani has to say about all these changes that just hit Legion Remix.
Hey folks, this is Kalani. There have been some huge changes to the Legion Remix event this week. There are some big buffs for DPS and healers specifically to try and break the current tank meta. Players who got super OP farming infinite power through questionable methods have been rolled back to a more appropriate power level, and quite a few artifact traits have also seen massive buffs. So the Fel row might actually have some competition now. We also have some interesting updates in this week's Midnight Alpha to go over. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. Let's kick things off with those big buffs and nerfs coming for the Legion Remix event. If you've been playing a DPS or a healer in Legion Remix, you may have felt like you've been left behind a little bit. Tanks have been dominating the endgame quite comfortably, and it's gone so far that a lot of groups running Mythic Plus will only take tanks now, especially if they're doing some of the higher keys. Well, the dev team promised...
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that always holds tanks back in retail is you just don't pump enough damage out to realistically do solo content.
Let us lay waste to this realm.
And Pim, thank you for the sub on YouTube. I appreciate that. Death Knight of our Scourge. So that's why you don't solo things. Maybe you could survive things, especially if you're very geared in retail, but just that the amount of time it would take you to kill something is just overwhelming. So that's why you're not going to solo things. Well, in Legion Remix, your damage output is buffed so much that, yeah, tank becomes like a solo god, right? So Blizzard has to change something. It's really good to see that they're putting in buffs rather than nerfing tanks. So, yeah, buff everything. Legion Remix should be broken, and it looks like they're continuing to make it that way.
Some buffs for damage dealers and healers with the release of Phase 2, which would be with the next weekly reset. That's not all too exciting, considering Phase 2 is still a little bit away, and it's never fun being the bad
thank you for the
class
sub,
or
man.
role. Well, you'll be glad to know that the dev team decided to deploy a hotfix that increases the damage and healing from all artifact traits for DPS and healer specializations. So both DPS and
buff,
healers
20%.
should just get a flat 20% bonus to everything when compared to tanks. With how much damage comes from your artifact traits, things like your active ability, Touch of Malice, or Terror from Below, these buffs should end up being a considerable increase, especially when things start to overlap. These hotfixes also changed up quite a few artifact traits, with some huge buffs and nerfs that could shift the meta a little bit. Call of the Legion's Infernal Flayer's melee damage was reduced, but its Infernal Leap damage was increased. The Infernal Soulsteal's damage was increased as well. Naran's Everdisc will now increase its damage by 50% each time you bounce.
If you don't know right now, what is this? The Fel something? This trait right here, across the board, is the one that everybody's going with. This is the meta right now. Literally nobody's picking any other traits. So they're trying to buff the other ones. I don't know if this is going to make them good enough to actually unseat the Dreadlord trait here. Do you get to keep the gold? Yeah, you get to keep the gold. You do.
Set up from 30%, which will make those last couple of hits deal significantly more damage.
You don't really make a lot of gold in Legion Remix. I feel like it's you make the bronze and you get all the transmog and everything else, but I don't think Legion Remix is a very good gold farming tactic.
Overall, Light's Vengeance and Vindicar's Judgment both had their damage increased by 50% and their healing increased by 20%, which should make the Light row quite a bit more powerful moving forward. It probably won't be as good as the Fel row just yet, I don't think, but at least this will narrow the gap somewhat. And then High Mountain Fortitude was buffed up to transfer more damage into your Fortitude shield per rank, which makes it a much better defensive option, but honestly I don't think that will be enough to make players swap off of any DPS traits anytime soon. I will be interested to see how these buffs play out, but I don't think it's going to do much for the tank-only meta in Mythic Plus dungeons especially. Damage or healing isn't really the main problem there, it's survivability.
Yeah.
Shockingly, tanks will always be tankier when compared to DPS or healers, it's kind of in the name, so when you run into things that are one-shotting your healers or DPS, it doesn't really matter if they deal even double the damage of tanks, because they're not staying alive long enough to actually do anything.
Yeah, he's right.
The good...
It's just about damage output's very high already in Legion Remix, so basically you have the ultra survivability of a tank plus damage output. That's good enough to get things killed. So yeah, there's always going to be a tanking meta right now. But it's still, the buffs are good, and just play whatever the hell you want. I mean, honestly, you're not going to need anybody in a couple weeks of this thing because everything's going to be soloable. So just play whatever tune you want to play. Have a good
news
time.
though is that your daily dungeon runs or raid runs should be quite a bit faster
How
with
would
these
you know?
buffs in play, because pretty much every DPS and healer is going to be doing much more damage now, and those trait changes might open up a few more options instead of everyone just taking the fell row and calling it a day. Now I am very curious to see if we'll see more buffs for DPS and healers with Phase 2, or if what we received via hotfix was what they were planning on doing and then they just shoved it out a bit faster. Maybe they have a package of more involved or wide sweeping changes planned for the weekly reset and just wanted to get something in as a hotfix so it doesn't feel completely terrible as a DPS or healer playing in Legion Remix right now. I guess we'll have to wait and see what Tuesday brings, but we could have a lot more buffs waiting for us with the start of Phase 2. That's not all for Legion Remix this week though. Some players who managed to get significantly ahead of others have actually been rolled back. So any characters that had accumulated over 10 million...
Didn't they did this with Mop Remix too, didn't they? They rolled back a bunch of currencies that people gathered up and stuff because of the kind of brokenness of some of the strategies you could use early on in the Remix event. So I guess this isn't a surprise, although I am a little bit surprised because it took them a while. Like, people have been sitting kind of ahead for a little while now, and a lot of people got so geared right now that they're sitting like at cap item level, at least for this first phase. So I guess you're losing your currency. I don't know if you're going to lose gear because of this. Probably just currencies.
Infinite power have had their infinite power reduced down to 10 million. So any gains past 10 million have been completely wiped out. That's also about rank 200 on the infinite power trait in your artifact weapon. So anyone who managed to get up to rank...
Yeah, in Mop Remix they rolled back the cloak, which is basically the infinite power is your Legion, your artifact weapon... a progression track. Same shit as the cloak. So yeah, they rolled that back too. Kind of what they did with Mist.
400 or even higher, which I did see a few of those floating around on Reddit. Those players have been knocked down quite a few pegs and will have to refarm all of that infinite power again.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
Just like the frog farmers from back in Mists of Pandaria, I guess it doesn't always pay to exploit early and often. Curiously, this does seem to have caused some weird problems or bugs, though. Some players who had over 10 million infinite power now have a minus number for infinite power, and they can't spend infinite power properly. Hopefully that gets fixed, because it's one thing removing a huge chunk of your power for farming via questionable methods, but it's another thing forcing them to farm up the difference before they can start spending it again.
Yeah.
Now, there have been quite a few nerfs or major changes overall to Legion Remix since the event started, like changing how Mythic Plus rewards gear to stop players from boosting their ults, friends, or providing paid boosts for huge item level gains. We've seen several infinite power farms nerfed, and we have some more to add to the list this week. Infinite power gains from elite enemies and from mining and herb gathering have been lowered. I guess elites specifically were giving a little bit too much power. I actually saw some farms promising hundreds of thousands of infinite power per hour farming certain spots, which seems kind of crazy. Obviously there's no guarantee you'd actually get that much, but I guess there were some very efficient farms going on that involved elite monsters, so they've been nerfed. The mining and herbing part did surprise me quite a bit. I guess I should have been paying more attention to those infinite power gains the few times I had quests to go do some gathering. It makes me chuckle thinking that in a game mode where you can solo entire raids...
Yeah, people were just running around... What the fuck? I just broke my space bar. Shit. Well, I'll figure out how to fix that. Yeah, people were just running around farming herbs in a Legion Remix event. I mean, why? Some people just confuse me. I mean, why would you... Is that fun? You having a good time doing that? I mean, I guess they're just chasing the mounts and shit. So yeah, out of space. Yeah, I could put it back on. I think I just broke the bracket for it. It's an old ass keyboard. That's
or
all
push
right.
crazy high mythic plus keys and just get
Falling apart.
insanely powerful, mining and herbing ended up being one of the most efficient ways to farm infinite power. Something about that is just hilarious to me. I kind of wish they didn't nerf it. Now, there have been a few other things rolled back this week. When Legion Remix first started, a lot of druids noticed that they had access to some Mage Tower specific forms that they hadn't previously earned. With Mage Tower rewards not being included in the Legion Remix event, this surprised a lot of players. Well, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise then.
Yeah, if you're a druid and you haven't logged in this week, it's gone. It's gone as of the reset. So Sag, but it's not going to happen. These Mage Tower appearances are not going to be given to us.
Who didn't actually earn those druid forms have had them removed with the weekly reset. So I hope you enjoyed your free forms while you had access to them, and maybe the dev team will eventually bring them back in one form or another in the future.
In the WoW store, that's how they'll bring them back.
Now, in other news, Phase 3 of the Midnight Alpha just started up, which gives us a lot of new things to look at, including a new decor catalogue for the housing system. This is still a work in progress, as you may be able to discern from the bright pink text across the screen, but the idea seems to be really cool. This catalogue should include every single piece of decor available in the game, and you can preview each item's 3D model as well. So if you want to see what kind of rugs you can get, you can pop open the catalogue and do some window shopping. There are some very cool items being included for launch, so you're going to be spoiled for choice when it comes to decorating the interior or exterior.
Man, just the amount of shit they're putting in for player housing is crazy. I mean, it's gonna be highly customizable. People are gonna make some crazy stuff.
Interior of your house. We'll have a search bar and some filters up at the top right to help narrow down your results, so you can find things for just the outside or just the inside, or things that can be dyed, and there are all sorts of filters to help you find exactly what you're looking for. There are categories on the left-hand side as well, so if you just want furniture and then just want chairs...
Are these decorations going to need to be crafted? No. Most of them are just earned through achievements or through unlocks or whatever. The crafting part of it, I think there's going to be... you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. There is a wood cutting thing now that's going to be added to the game, but that's not like a specific profession you're going to have to learn. It's just everybody can go do it to make some... what's it called, player housing related stuff. There are going to be some craftable items, but the majority of these items are just going to be unlockable things by playing the game. You play the game, you'll unlock a bunch of shit, and then when you unlock them, you can buy more of them.
Just tables. This should all work exactly like the housing edit system, so you can quickly find what you're looking for. Some items also provide you with a housing experience reward for the first time you collect them. It's only...
I would like to be needed for crafting. There are going to be some specific that will be craftable player housing items. So those will exist, Weeborn. It's just not like... This is not a crafting system. There'll just be some items that, yeah, can be crafted and maybe sold on the auction. I don't know how they're going to work. But there will be some cool items. Maybe tailors can make rugs and shit like that. There will be stuff like that, yes.
10 XP per item, but with how many different pieces of decor we have to collect, that will start to add up very quickly. I imagine most people won't even be starting out with a level 1 house due to the sheer volume.
Oh, damn. You guys see that? What the hell? Look at that. The giant, that's the Burning Crusade portal from the other side, from Hellfire Peninsula. Damn, you could put a giant portal, and mind you, you could scale all these items to whatever size. This is a cool one.
Level 1 house due to the sheer volume of items that you can collect before the system goes live. Now, there doesn't seem to be anything indicating where each item might come from, so maybe that's still a work in progress, or we might have to do things the old-fashioned way and Google or Wowhead each item to see what we have to do to get your hands on your super special lantern or rug or bookcase. We also have our first look at some tier set bonuses for Season 1 of Midnight.
Yeah, they're
It's not
alright.
every class or spec, so I would expect to see the rest trickle in over the next few alpha phases, and we do have a little dev note that explains they wanted to keep this first season's set bonuses quite simple due to how many class and spec changes we have as we head into Midnight.
I guess that makes sense.
So bear that in mind as we go through these. For Frost Death Knight, their 2 set causes Empower Rune Weapon to increase the damage of your next Obliterate or Frost Scythe by 20%. The 4 set bonus causes Empower Rune Weapon to reach...
I went through all of these with you guys already. It's mainly a slight percentage boost to damage and a cooldown reduction to some ability. That's like how every single one of these set bonuses is going to work.
20% faster, and Pillar of Frost causes your next Empower rune weapon to ignore its cooldown. That seems pretty cool, and will give you a lot more access to Empower rune weapons specifically, which ties it nicely with that 2-set bonus. Unholy Death Knight's 2-set bonus increases the damage of both plague spells by 20%, and the 4-set causes Consuming Sudden Doom to reduce the cooldown of Putrefy by 1.5 seconds. That sounds kinda boring on the surface, but being able to cast Putrefy more could have a lot of interesting interactions with various passives and talents, which could make it really strong. Augmentation Evoker's 2-set bonus increases the damage of Eruption, and it extends Ebb and Might by a little bit more. The 4-set bonus causes your Empower spells to deal 20% more damage and cooldown 20% faster while Ebb and Might is active, which in turn should let you extend it quite a bit further.
And more cooldown
For Preservation, their 2-set bonus increases the healing of Verdant Embrace and reduces its cooldown, while the 4-set bonus causes Verdant Embrace to grow an Emerald Blossom on your target at 100% effectiveness. Remember that Verdant Embrace can now also be a ranged ability in Midnight, so that could be a lot of fun to play with. Mistweaver Monks were also included in this first round. Their 2-set increases Renewing Mist Healing by 20%, and the 4-set causes Thunder Focus T to apply Renewing Mists to a nearby ally. So you get some free casts there, but nothing too crazy or exciting.
Right.
Windwalker Monks weren't left out. Their 2-set bonus increases the damage of Striker the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch by 30%, and the 4-set bonus reduces their cooldown by 5 seconds. Holy Paladin's 2-set bonus increases the healing from Holy Shock, and the 4-set causes Holy Shock to transfer more healing to your Beacon of Light. Retribution Paladin's 2-set bonus increases Expurgation damage, and the 4-set causes Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm to apply Expurgation at lower effectiveness. So Ret will be applying a lot more dots with this set bonus in play. And then the last one we have to look at so far is for Shadow Priest. Their 2-set bonus increases the damage of Shadow Word Madness.
Damn, Shadow Priest got some really cool animations. What the hell was that? Some really cool stuff. A big giant tentacle coming out, all this hentai shit going on.
And reduces its insanity cost, while the 4-set increases the damage of Shadowy and Void Apparitions. So from this quick preview, it seems like the 2-set bonuses are going to be very plain, especially with the 4-set bonuses being a bit of a toss-up. Some have interesting interactions and give you access to your most powerful cooldowns more often, while others don't have that much impact. It's worth noting that if your class or spec has a set bonus that you feel is very boring or actually pretty interesting, it is important to give that feedback to the dev team. They have changed entire set bonuses in the...
I didn't think they have changed entire set bonuses, but I don't think they're going to do it this time around. I hadn't thought about it. With all the class changes they're making and all the rebalancing they're going to have to do right now, it makes sense that they would make really simple set bonuses for this first season at least, so they can focus on actually balancing the core abilities of the classes. And then they can do some interesting set bonuses later on, rather than having to balance both of them out at the same time.
Past due to feedback, the official forums are going to be one of the best places to do that, so make your voices heard. As you can see, quite a lot of specs have been left out in this first little preview, but I do expect we'll see more and more set bonuses pop up on the alpha over the next few builds, and by the time that we're in Phase 5, I'm sure everything will be included. We'll be sure to include any new set bonuses in the WoW Weekly News videos, so stay tuned for those. And then the last major update we got in this week's alpha build is a huge buff to tank's threat generation while using taunts. So pretty much every taunt in the game, including pet taunts by the way, will now have a 6-second duration. So the mobs will be focused on you for 6 seconds at the bare minimum, but during that time your threat generation bonus has been doubled. Taunt used to provide you with a 400% bonus to threat generation, and that's getting increased all the way to 800% in Midnight. So that should ensure that when you use
400 to 800. I thought it was 500 to 900. Is he right about that? Where I have the blue post right here. Where the fuck is it? Taunt. 900% for 6 seconds was 500%. I don't know who's right, but yeah, basically double. Basically double. This is looking through these notes here. So yeah, it's gonna be better, which is good. We needed that. Oh shit. There we go.
odd, that mob should be stuck to you like glue for at least a little bit.
Wildhead is garbage.
But
Yeah,
that's all of the
Wildhead
updates
probably
we
made the
have so
mistake.
far this week, so that's
I don't know if
it
they're
for
garbage,
this
but they
video.
made the mistake.
What do you think about the buffs and nerfs coming to Legion Remix? Do you think DPS and healers need more attention to really break the current meta? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find links in the description or click the join button just below the video. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always kept up to date. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.
Yeah, nice video overall. Good changes to Legion Remix. Yeah, some people retroactively getting nerfed a little bit. And then all the set bonuses, I was disappointed in them when I was looking at them earlier this morning. But it makes sense, actually, now that he said the whole thing. Yeah, there are tons of class changes, massive amounts happening, so it makes sense the set bonuses would be a little bit boring. A nice video from Kalani.